take refuge in the Buddha.
I take refuge in the Buddha.
I take refuge in the Dharma.
I take refuge in the Dharma.
I take refuge in the Sangha.
I take refuge in the Sangha.
Keeping the palms joined. Palms down. All right, good evening, everybody. Nice to see you all here. Thanks to the brave souls who came out in this rainy weather that us San Diego people don't know how to deal with. You know, nobody knows how to drive in this weather, that's for sure. I say San Diego people as if I'm not one of them. Been here since I was 4, so that pretty much makes me San Diego people. Yeah. So, y'all know we're going to die, right? At some point. You know that, right?
No.
In denial. Denial won't help. But if you know you're going to, and you think about whatever's bothering you right now, whatever problem you have, whatever you're annoyed at, whatever you're angry at, whatever you're stuck on, when that moment comes, when you actually are about to pass, is whatever you're stuck on right now really going to matter? And there are some things that might, so I don't want to discount, we're all fighting for certain things that I don't necessarily think we should abandon fighting for. And there are those certain things that will always matter. And I think create opportunities for us to leave, a better world for those behind us. But, just ponder for a moment, whatever you're stuck on right now, when that time comes, is it really going to matter that much? And if not, then think about what would it be like to just kind of surrender and let that go, whatever it is you're holding on to so tightly. Because we don't know when that time comes. And for me, one of the most beautiful things about Buddhist teachings is it's never been a way to solve problems. It's never been a way to fix things. It's been a way to actually wake up to just reality. And reality is often really harsh and really cruel. And that's the world we're in. But we have a choice of how we're going to view that. And we can either let it destroy us and break us down and cause every moment of our lives to be miserable, or we can find joy and appreciation and gratitude in every single thing that exists in our lives. And if we focus our attention on all the joy and all the gratitude and all the appreciation, then the things that we're holding on to so tightly, that we're so angry at, that we just don't want to let go of, some of those things start to fall away a little bit. And we come back to what's actually important in our lives, the people and places and, that we love and that are dear to us. That's what's important. So it's a question that my master used to ask me, all the time. Like, do you know you're going to die? She used to say that a lot. I don't usually talk about that a lot because it sounds kind of morbid in a way. But she used to ask that a lot, She'd see me miserable or angry, depressed, and she would say, do you know you're going to die? And is whatever you're stuck on right now really going to matter when that moment comes? And 9 out of 10 times, no. Whatever I was stuck on wouldn't have mattered. So then why carry it with you any longer? So just ponder that next time you find yourself really wrapped up in something that, maybe you could move on from. Is that something you want to continue to carry with you and hold that resentment and anger and frustration that's really just destroying your heart, and your mind? So for me, it was always very inspirational as a way to kind of ask myself, like, hey, what's really, really important in life? So on that gentle, happy thought, we'll start with the meditation practice. I mean, it's raining, so I thought I don't know. To those who are joining virtually, glad you're here. Thanks for showing up virtually. Not brave enough to come out in the rain, I understand. We're so spoiled here. But a couple things to tell you before we begin. Nothing's going to happen to you. You're not going to float away. You're not going to have any mystical, magical experiences. The mind that races all day long is not going to shut off. Don't judge your practice, meaning don't ask yourself, is this working or not working? Are you doing it right or wrong? We're just going to sit and breathe. Your mind will not stop racing. You won't think nothing. It's not going to go blank. Your mind will continue to wander. I'll say things periodically to either wake you up because you've fallen asleep or remind you that you're lost in thought and just bring you back to present moment. Posture, you want to be comfortable. If you're on a cushion, often it helps slide into the front third, pushing the stomach forward, allows the back to straighten. If you're on a bench or chair, however you're seated, just trying to sit up straight, relaxing the shoulders, hands are on the knees or lap, whatever's comfortable. I will guide us as we begin, and we'll settle into a little bit of silence. Most important, do not expect anything. We're just going to sit and breathe. Starting with the eyes closed if comfortable, or slightly open. Mouth is open or closed. Start with taking 3 deep breaths, slowly. Eventually, settle into a natural rhythm of the breath. Noticing the mind as it wanders, jumping from thought to thought. We'll start with gently guiding the attention, focus to the stomach or chest. Breathing in, feel them rise. Breathing out, they fall. Simply continue this practice, observing sensation of breath, expecting nothing but to sit and breathe. As the mind wanders, lost in thought, recognize it. Release that thought. Return attention, focus to the breath. Breathing in, follow breath in. Breathing out, follow breath out. Learning to be comfortable in stillness, in quiet, just sitting, breathing. Letting go of expectations. Letting go of judgments from your practice. Just sitting, breathing. And with the body still, rested, and the speech quiet, aware of all sounds, and the mind learning to settle. Know what it's like to just sit and breathe. Knowing with each breath, there's nothing else to do. Nowhere else to go. And no one else to be. Everything beautiful, exactly as it is. Sitting, breathing. And once again, taking 3 deep breaths, slowly. As you slowly open the eyes, slowly beginning to move. Most important, the practice of meditation, is to recognize how you feel now, immediately after. Compare this to how you typically feel throughout your day. Recognize the difference, if there is one. Ask yourselves how you prefer to feel every day for the rest of your life. And realize however you feel now, if it's quiet, calm, and still, or a busy mind, racing mind, whatever you're sitting with at this moment, it's nothing to do with anything I said. It's nothing to do with how you sit and hold the hands or cross the legs. It's nothing to do with the sounds around us or anything else for that matter. It's everything to do with your own mind and your own mind's reaction to an external condition. This is what the Buddha called pratitya samutpata, means dependent origination. This is the basis of the Buddha's awakening. The word Buddha simply means awakening. He was a human being no different than any one of us who began to understand why he suffered, why he got angry, sad, depressed, stressed, anxious. He began to understand the causal relationship of all phenomena. What that means very simply for all of us, regardless of where you come from or what you believe in or where you think you're going, your whole life is filled with things that happen. You react. More stuff happens, more reactions. That's it. This practice is simply learning what it's like to respond to something quietly, peacefully, still. Because for most of us, the way you responded to the last 20 minutes is quite different from how you respond to every other 20-minute period of your day. And so all we're working on is closing the gap to where the way you feel now is closer to how you feel always. Just as driven, motivated, productive, successful, whatever that means to you in your respective lives. But with a mind that's steady, clear, focused, distracted by nothing, disturbed by no one. It's not an easy practice. It's not necessarily fun. It's not an escape. It is direct perception into the present moment. And present moment is filled with conflict, chaos, difficulties, challenges. This is life. We spend so much time trying to fix, control, manipulate everything outside of us. Hoping they do this, hoping they do that, wishing they would do this, wishing they would do that. So much of our time and energy is spent there. This practice is setting all of that down and becoming aware of what you think, what you say, and what you do. And that's it. Meditation is free. Buddhist practice is free. It's just sitting, breathing, becoming aware of all your thoughts, all your words, and all your actions. That's all. But it's a practice. It's not a quick fix. Your life is a challenge now. It'll stay that way for a while. And then once you think you have everything all settled and figure out, it'll become a challenge again. It's just the way life works. And accepting that is a big part of this practice also. Learning to be with life as it arises. So, don't hold on to too much. Too many beautiful things to enjoy in this life. And as I spoke about earlier, at any moment, all the time that you spend angry or sad or depressed or wrapped up in all the misery in your own mind, you're missing opportunities to really pay attention to everything that is also beautiful in the world and in your life. So don't waste those moments, because we don't know when we're done. Can't get those moments back. And like I said, there are things I personally believe, fight like hell. Don't quit. But those aren't usually the things that drive people crazy all day long. It's the little stuff. So, try to set some of that down. It's just torturing you. So with that, I'll pause. For me, I always prefer to respond to questions, meditation, Buddhist practice. And again, to those who are joining virtually, welcome. Glad you're here. Feel free to say hello. If you have any questions, put them in the chat box. I'll do my best to respond. So again, we'll open up to questions and use the rest of our brief time for that.
So I've been thinking about during meditation and just things that I've been thinking about recently, just with traumas that are coming up in my life, during journaling or just meditation, and about astral projection and just I don't know how to ask this, but is there anything in the Buddhist teachings about astral projection, or do we go anywhere in our minds? I don't know if that sounds right, but at least when I've been journaling recently, in my head, it's just been so what's the word? It's been so clear, vivid, yes. And I feel like I'm there, and emotions are there, and it kind of is a release. But I don't know about astral projection, and I don't know. It's just been it's something I've been thinking about the last couple weeks.
So I don't even know what that is.
Okay.
And I'd say that with all the love and respect in the world. I mean, there's nowhere to go. There's no one to go anywhere. Everything you just said is beautiful. You've been thinking a lot, pondering your life, trauma that's coming up, present, past, journaling, meditating. You're here a lot. I mean, you're going through it right now.
Mm-hmm.
And with that is going to be tons of emotions, and some of them will be beautiful and wonderful, and some of them will be heartbreaking and crush you. And at some moments you'll be incredibly confused, and nothing will make sense, and then some moments everything will be crystal clear and vivid and seem great. That's it. I wouldn't make it any more than that. just experience that experience. From the Buddhist perspective, regardless, how do you say astral
projection?
Astral project, is that like some outer body thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Basically.
So,
or even like lucid dreaming.
Yeah. No. You're good. I'm just pondering how I'm gonna say this.
Okay.
So, the Buddhist teachings on non-self, there is no you to come out of your body. I mean, you want to look at like technical, your question was in Buddhism, blah, 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 right? In Buddhism, the Buddha taught there is no self. Done. End of story. So if there is no self, if there is no Jeff, how can Jeff come out of Jeff's body? There is a physical body here. Yeah? There is a consciousness, which is just an endless continuation of what's called karma. Karma is not what goes around, come around. Karma is not getting what you deserve. Karma literally means action. You've heard me say this a lot. What we think, what we say, and what we do is our karma. Karma is what we bring into the world. So every thought, every word, every action you've done, just looking at this one life, has created this endless stream of consciousness. Now, in Buddhist teachings at the time, the Buddha believed that everybody in India at that time believed in rebirth or reincarnation. So this body was just a shell. That's it. It's just a shell. And this consciousness comes into this body. And when this body ceases to exist at some point in time, whether it's tonight or 50 years from now, that consciousness will continue on. But that consciousness isn't Jeff. The body is not Jeff. Jeff is just some name people gave me, which apparently were my parents, right? That I then call mom and dad. These are all just labels on this illusion of the self. There is no self to go anywhere. It is actually shattering that entire story of you thinking that you are some permanent thing that is here or there. And when you shatter that, there is no one to go anywhere. There's just moment-to-moment experiences, which is why I started out by saying everything you shared is beautiful, just experience that. Like, not everything has to be put in like some little Buddhist box. It's one of my favorite things, like, it's like, especially like when people are newer to this stuff, like, 3 weeks in, 6 months in, a year in, and like Buddhism is like, wow, this stuff is great. It's making sense. You're finding a little more peace, a little happiness. You're calming down a little bit, and you're like really kind of getting into this thing. It's your new obsession, your new addiction. You're just as attached to Buddhism and every unhealthy thing you've ever been attached to, right? Buddhism is the same way. And in that space, we then try to see the lens through just Buddhism. And we try to define every experience we have as like, okay, is this a Buddhist thing? Am I finally Buddhist? Right? And I'm not even talking to you anymore. I'm just rambling, right? But like, that's what happens to people. I've seen this for a long time. And it's cute in a way because it means like it's important to them. And so they try to understand it through a Buddhist lens. And my suggestion is there's no Buddhist lens to understand things through. The Buddha was just a dude, just a human. He was pretty smart, I think. But he was just some person. And one of my favorite expressions is don't seek to be like the Buddha, seek what the Buddha saw. Meaning we're not trying to become the Buddha, we're not trying to become Buddhist. We're trying to look at the nature of our own mind, how our mind works, because that mind is creating our consciousness. And we have this physical body to allow this consciousness to play out in. So take care of it all, use it well, treat it well, be kind and gentle to it, to the mind and the body. There's a sutra, the Surangama Sutra, where the Buddha, one of his disciples, the Buddha asks him to find the mind and find his mind. Where is it? I'll save you the reading. Never finds it. It's not there. Where is it? What is the mind? So, I hope that answered your question.
I think I might be getting sucked up into the. I've loved everything I've learned so far.
Oh, I know. I was looking at everybody else, but I was for you. I mean, but that's a beautiful thing and it's a common thing. It's not bad. It's not wrong. I'm just highlighting the fact that it's a wonderful place you're at where this is exciting and new, and I'm just trying to put a little caution there that says not everything has to be defined through a Buddhist lens Because then I'm repeating myself now, but seriously, then you're going to put Buddhism into a box and a construct and make it be the best thing and the only thing in your life. And then that's just as unhealthy as the other stuff probably that led you here. You know, I mean, it's probably healthier, but it's still an attachment and some fixation on something, you know. And then you're going to drive all your friends and family crazy, and then they're going to think they've lost you for good to this Buddhism thing. You know, just see how it's impacting your life and enjoy that, and keep going with that. But don't overthink this stuff. You know. What else? There's a question here. Move on. Okay. So the question is, hey Jeff, what's up, Isaac? It's an old friend. Hey Jeff, hope you've been well. Miss you, man. Question. I'm going through a tough breakup at the moment. On one hand, I know that I should sit with the pain, loss, and fond memories. On the other hand, I'd like to heal and move on. Can you comment on how I should orient myself towards this grief in the upcoming days, weeks? He says days or weeks. I'll add months and years just to torture you a little bit because I love you. I think, it's funny. Like, I mean, it sucks, and I'm sorry for the pain you're going through. It's not fun. We've all been there, multiple times throughout our lives. And, those of us who are older have been through it more. And it's never fun. It's never easy. But ironically, my initial kind of gut response is actually just coming back to you with the words that you said, which is, on one hand, I want to sit with the pain, the loss, and the fond memories. Okay, so pause right there. So on that hand, yes, sit with the pain, sit with the loss, and sit with the memories. There's nothing wrong with that. When we have a breakup, when we lose loved ones, whether it's to relationships or, death and loss, things like that, the fact that we hurt, our heart hurts, and we feel miserable, it's not fun to be with that, but what that means is you're alive, and you've loved, and you've cared. And that's a beautiful thing, And so I think to sit with that, as you said, the pain, the loss, and the fond memories, experience that. Be with that for as long as you'd like. Time will allow the heart to heal a little bit. But very often in relationships, regardless of how or why it ended, there's things that we look back on and we regret and we wish we'd done differently. And there's things we look back on that we're proud of and, we've done well. And in most relationships, there's probably a little bit of both of that, regardless of how or why, or, it ended or who ended it or all that, the details behind it. It's never fun, but, use the opportunity to sit with it, to reflect on, what it taught you, what you learned from it, how it helped you, how it hurt you. Those are beautiful things. The future will bring more relationships, and you'll have opportunities to look back on these and reflect on it. And then you say, on the other hand, I'd like to heal and move on. So on the other hand, you will heal and you will move on. That's going to happen without you having to do anything. I don't think that just in a very practical sense, we can't force healing. We cut ourselves, we put a Band-Aid on it, maybe the Band-Aid helps a little bit, but the skin or whatever is going to heal when it heals. And I think the heart and the mind are the same way. It's going to heal when it heals. But I think the less anger, you look at the Buddhist, the second noble truth, the cause of suffering, greed, anger, ignorance, the less anger we feel towards ourselves and the potentially other person involved, again, without knowing any details, the less anger you feel, and you overcome anger with compassion, which I know from your studies, that. But the more compassion you can have towards yourself and the other person and their relationship as a whole, the less anger you'll have. And the less anger you sit with, the easier and quicker you'll be able to heal and move on. So I really think it's that middle path. It's sitting with both hands. And some days it'll be easier to kind of feel like you're healing and moving on. And, you know, as you said, days or weeks. And I love that you think this is going to end after a few weeks, you know. But, you know, you could be healing and doing great 3 months in. And then 3 months in, you're just going to have a miserable day and be sad and depressed and lay in bed and cry. And then there's that hand, you know. And that's okay too. So I think as far as the last piece of your question, which is, you know, how do I orient myself towards the grief in the upcoming days and weeks? Just open to it. Just completely open to the fact that over the next days and weeks and months, you're going to have good days and bad days with it. And you're going to have moments where you can reflect and feel beautiful, and you're going to have moments where you reflect and you just feel devastated and crushed. I think you orient yourself by just being real with the emotions. And also, last thing I'll say on this is understanding, always with the emotions that arise, kind of dropping Buddhist teachings of impermanence, to understand that emotion, you know, the moment that you're sad and angry and depressed, that will pass. The moment that you're happy and joyful, that will also pass. So just kind of riding the roller coaster of emotions and understanding the impermanence of them is I think, how to me as a practice, you orient yourself towards life. Sometimes things are going to work out the way you want, sometimes they're not. It's just the way things go, man. I wish, you know, I had you know, turn to page 23 and you're good to go. But yeah, so, and if all else fails, just keep tuning in. It's pretty late out there. I think you're probably still East Coast, so it's definitely past your bedtime. But yeah, keep practicing. It's always a good time to come back to, if you've kind of, you know, this is for everyone really. When you go through difficult times and painful times and whatever it is, people tend to possibly, at moments in your life, you kind of give up or fall off, as people say, their meditation practice. And I think when you're challenged, those are times to really just kind of come back to it even deeper. And then hopefully drive home the fact that you just stay committed to a meditation practice, regardless of whether your life is going great or terrible. Because you know that at some point in time, if it's going great, it'll eventually go terrible. And then when it's going terrible, it'll eventually go great. And that's just going to be the nature of our lives. So the idea in practice is just stay continuous, like brushing the teeth, you know, every day. Train your mind to be present and find gratitude. So he gave me a heart and said, nighttime now. So yeah, go to sleep. What else? Questions? Yeah, sorry.
How do you frame the experience, or what are some ways to frame the experience of fear, particularly like fear of judgment, fear of failure, those kinds of things?
So how do I frame fear of judgment, fear of failure? Have you heard me share my acronym around fear? So I heard this years ago, I don't know where, but when I heard it, I loved it. So I've been sharing it ever since. But fear, false evidence appearing real. And it just, first time I heard it, just clicked. And so the idea of fear is we're projecting something into the future, false evidence that we think is real. But it's impossible because we have no idea what the future is going to hold. Right? I mean, you ever been afraid of something and it actually came true and it ended up terrible? And then sometimes you're afraid of something and maybe it doesn't happen and it comes out better. You know, so we don't know. As far as fear of judgment, the one thing I love about that kind of question in practice is there's no need to be, in my opinion in practice, there's no need to be afraid of judgment because people are judging you.
But it's actually happening.
Yeah. So why be afraid of it? I mean, there's no, just like 2 weeks ago when a college kid asked this, what did I say? It was a similar question. I'm like, I'm worried that, the individual was talking at that moment. And they said, I'm a little hesitant to share because I'm worried that people are judging me right now. And I let them go on and I said, you don't have to worry about that. They're all judging you right now. It's what we do. But it doesn't mean that that's terrible or wrong or bad. I mean, yes, we shouldn't judge people, but we are. We do it every single moment, whether we realize it or not. The question is, for us first, just following this kind of comment, when we judge other people, right? We have this kind of impression or judgment of them, label of them, but it's not fair, it's not right, it's not good. right? We know we shouldn't do it. We have an idea of someone or something. 10 people have an idea of the same person. Some of us are, we're all different. So knowing that we judge others, you can guarantee that people are judging you. That's just the way it goes. They're going to judge every single thing about you.
So is it just acceptance of that fact, and that's the practice?
Yeah, I think acceptance helps. I think it's, acceptance and the awareness of the fact that, yes, people are judging me every single day, no matter where I go. If I walk outside, I usually don't get too personal on things like that, but it's a funny thing, man, especially me with my role. Like, if I'm outside walking the dog, people are judging me. Like, oh, he walks his dog? Like, I'm just a dude with a dog. Right? Like, people are judging constantly. Right? Always judging you. But who gives a shit? That's their mess, not yours. The danger is when we allow people's judgments of us to actually influence what we do. And there are certain times where, if we're doing things that are harmful, people are judging us as being harmful towards self and others, we should probably recognize, yes, we're being harmful. But if we're just living our lives, right? You're just going about your day, you're following your heart, you're doing what you love, you're trying your best. And, this comes up a lot with parents, especially working with college kids. It's like so many people spend their whole lives trying to make other people proud or other people happy. It's your life. I'm not saying to be a selfish asshole, you know what I mean? But it's your life. We can't please other people all the time. Try to be a good person, do your best, and know that other people are going to judge you, and that's their mess, not yours. And so I think this kind of tied into your question around the fear of judgment and also fear of failure. I think they're very much related and connected. As often the fear of failure is there only because I don't know that we're often so afraid of failure, or we're just afraid of what people are going to think about us if we fail. Like, if I tried something and failed, no big deal. But if you try something and fail and somebody else sees you, you ever trip?
Yeah.
And you're like, did anybody see me? Okay, no, cool, I'm good. Well, so many people, that's their life. If you fail, if nobody saw it, no big deal. Same thing around the judgment, the fear of failure, we're gonna fail. But if your intention, if your effort is to the best of your ability, and coming from a place of loving kindness and compassion and things like that, all those kind of key buzzword things, if that's your intention and you're following your heart and what you love to do, and you fail, you fail. But inside, you gave it your all. I mean, I think back to just growing up my whole life playing sports. It's you leave it all in the field, so to speak. And I think life is that way. Leave it all in the field. Every moment. Just give all you have to everything you have. And that's, to me, Dogen's practice and just the passion of life. It's all magical. Just enjoy it all. And people judge you. You fail. Both are happening all the time. And that's okay. To your comment, you just embrace it and accept it. I'm going to fail. I'm also going to succeed. I'm going to do well and I'm going to cause harm. People are going to judge me. Good for them. Not easy practice, but yeah.
It's on page 23.
No, page 23. Sorry, no, that was the other one. Another question here. There was. How much time we got? Okay, there was a hand here somewhere. Yeah, go ahead, and then we'll come back to this. Yeah.
I've been having a really hard time with holding on to anger due to some workplace stuff. So much to the point where it just kind of even when it's not an issue, it's just kind of ragging on me all day.
Yeah.
I try to take myself out of it and be present, but in this one particular situation, it's because I'm finding it really hard to let go. I'm finding it hard to reframe my thoughts about it.
Yeah. Yeah. So the question around anger, and this is something for me, very personal. What led me to Buddhist practice was just growing up filled with just so much anger and hatred and rage. I've spent 20 years working in prisons, and I've never met people who had more anger and rage than I did when I was 15 years old. And I'm not saying that to be like modest or whatever. Like, I get it, and I think it's important to understand that my suggestion in dealing the same thing with anger, we overcome anger with compassion, is to not expect to see, like you said, your situation you're looking at. I don't suggest you expect to see it any differently. Like you even kind of like you're seeing it even in your physical gesture. It's like you're seeing something, you want to see it differently. My guess from what you're saying is you're not going to see it differently. But you can still practice compassion in other areas of your life. So if you've got 5 hours of your day, you can have 5 hours of your day sitting around just angry as all hell at that one thing. And you're just sitting at home on your couch or wherever for 5 hours. I'm just making this up. And you're filled with anger towards this same thing. You know what else you can do during those 5 hours? Anything. Where you go and you give, practice generosity, practice compassion. Go pour your heart and energy and effort into other people and places and things. It doesn't have to be compassion towards your anger. I could tell, dude, you're pissed. Like you're ready to do
Not
very.
you guys.
Huh?
Not at you guys.
No, I get it, right? But I get it. But you're so wrapped up in it right now. So I'm not suggesting to try to spin that into some beautiful situation. It's not going to work. But try to take the same anger that comes from your heart, because anger is just your heart that got hurt. And that heart that got hurt that's angry also has the ability to love. So take that same heart and love and pour it into something or someone else. So instead of 5 hours of anger, you got 5 hours of love. Doesn't change the situation, but during those 5 hours you'll feel better. And if you can do that more often and spend less hours just wrapped up in that same thing, over time you'll get better with it, even if it doesn't change, So there's a question here. Talk a bit more about non-judgment. I've always understood the basic principle as taught, the story of the farmer's son and the horse. How far do we take that? We'll see attitude. That's a great story. For example, I have an, in quotes, evil ex who's done. You got a lot of laughter here from that. I hope you heard that, Greg. It's always the evil ex's fault. It's never our fault. It's always, right? I have an evil ex who has done a lot of damage, and through practice, I see her behavior with much more compassion. But I still keep boundaries and call her evil in my question to you. We're making it easy on me. Yeah. So, So your initial question is talk a little bit more about non-judgment. And I think, the story with the farmer and the horse and, the military and falling off and broken leg, and you don't know what's good, you don't know what's bad, we'll see, you never know what's going to happen. I think looking at past situations, my guess is all of us in this room have gone through so much pain and suffering and trauma and hardship in our lives, or none of us would end up here on a Tuesday night at 7 o'clock in the rain, right? We come here because we're suffering, and we're suffering from all of our experiences that have happened in the past. And so I think this non-judgment towards past, your ex, even as you said, you're trying to practice, you're seeing her behavior with much more compassion. It's just to continue that practice and understand that when we judge others, we're judging usually based on what they've done to us directly, or especially in a situation like this, without really exploring everything or even opening up to the fact that we don't know everything they've gone through. No matter how long we've been with somebody, you don't know what they've gone through, right? You don't know everything about their lives. You don't know every traumatic experience they went through, every pain, every suffering, every loss. All you know, other than stories, of their past is also their dynamic in relationship with you, which caused you tremendous pain and suffering. So non-judgment would be to open up, continue to open up, have compassion for the fact that this individual suffered tremendously through their lives and made choices that were probably unhealthy and unwise. And then you encountered that moment, that experience, that karma, that action. You two collided and you met that. And then that brought a lot of pain and suffering into your life. So, I mean, really the only thing I can say is just keep doing what you're doing as far as looking at your ex and understanding that they too are suffering deeply. And especially when we're in a situation where if we're doing repetitive things over and over and over again that are continuously causing pain and suffering in our lives and lives of others and their unhealthy behaviors, that suffering is still there, that pain is still there, right? I mean, when we do things that are unhealthy, we're suffering a lot. Anything I would have turned to that was unhealthy or unwise in the past, I wasn't turning to it because I was happy. I was turning to it because I was miserable. So if they're still doing those things today, they're still suffering. And as you know, the practice is to just open the heart to all beings, all time, all space, all directions, and continue to have compassion. And try not to the judgment part, I think it helps to understand that you don't know, even though you went through a lot, you might know a lot about the past. We can never understand what anybody is experiencing throughout their lives, even when we're with them. So it's just a continuous opening of the heart to have compassion for their suffering. So, all right. Anything else before we close? I don't know if there's another hand I saw. No. Go ahead. Yeah.
Do we have time?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. I have been struggling with, I've been letting go of shame, which is great. But then when I finally kind of do let go of shame and start doing well and start to feel good about myself, I have received feedback in the past that it feels to others like I'm on a high horse, and I don't like that. And I would love to keep humility in my life. And I don't know how to keep humility as present as I would like, I guess, once I do let go of shame and when I do feel good, but also...
Right. Well, if at the moment, as you say, that you're feeling okay, right, so you're coming to terms, making peace with shame, and you're feeling okay, to use your expression, do you feel like you're on a high horse just because you're doing okay? No, so then what's the problem?
Yes, yeah.
Why do you have to meet the demands of other people's? It's the same thing. Why do you have to meet the demands of other people's expectations of you? If they think you're on a high horse because you're doing okay, those are their thoughts. That's why I said to you, do you think you're on a high horse?
Yeah.
You know? That's their view and judgment of you. So are you obligated to do and act how they want you to act? Are you feeling okay and better about your situation? So just own that. So much of our lives, I'll close with this thought, so much of our lives is truly spent trying to match and meet the demands and expectations that others have on us. And that is extremely toxic and dangerous and unhealthy and will destroy you. And it's not just about this one situation. I mean, this situation will occur over and over and over again your entire life. People and places that you encounter will have expectations of you. They always will. And so this is an opportunity to say, hey, maybe I've done some wrong. I've made peace with it. I shouldn't have done it. I'm tremendously sorry about what I did. I can't change it. But I have to be at peace going forward for my own sanity. Because I can't hate myself my whole life for things I did in the past. You know? And God knows I've gone through that endless times. And the sooner you come to this terms of like, I'm okay with who I am. And what other people think of me, all I can do is be the best I can, you know. Be the best version of myself that I can be. And that's it. Be authentic and honest and genuine, and what other people think of you, you know. Yeah. I can send you a postcard once a year and tell you what they think of you. Yeah. So, And when they do that, then the practice is to not judge them for judging you. Because then you're not doing anything different. If they think you're on a high horse and you're judging them for thinking you're on a high horse, you're both judging each other. So, yeah. All right, so we'll join palms and close. May the benefit of this practice be shared with all beings in all directions. May all beings be at peace. May all be free from suffering. All right, we'll have a few announcements from our Dharma Bum host, Anna. Thanks, Anna.
Hello, everyone. My name is Anna, and I'm tonight's host. We opened the Dharma Bum Temple 18 years ago to introduce Buddhist practice to those who show up. Those who lead are not nuns, monks, gurus, masters, or teachers, and are not looking for students. They are simply practitioners sharing their interpretation of the practice. Every night we have different classes led by different people from various Buddhist traditions. We have a recovery sangha that meets several times a week for anyone with addiction problems, and our food redistribution program meets every Thursday at 4:30 p.m. We have classes and programs every day, and everything we offer here is always free. The full schedule is on our website and posted in the entryway above the shoe rack. We have a lending library. If you see a book you like, feel free to borrow it, then bring it back whenever you are done with it. Please straighten your seat or cushion before you head out. I believe all the windows are already closed. Thank you for being here. We wish you well and hope to